I've just been looking at a tweet from Elon Musk this morning about Alison Pearson, our guest at midday. She's a Telegraph columnist, a very good friend of mine as well, by the way, I have to point out, who has had a visit from the police over a tweet, a post she wrote on X a year ago. She hasn't been told which one, which apparently they think might be a non-crime hate incident or even a full-on hate crime for inciting racial hatred. I've read all Alison's tweets. She doesn't incite racial hatred. That's not in her bones, I'm afraid. But we're going to be talking to her about that. But Elon Musk has just tweeted this morning, this has to stop. He is not happy about it because basically the police are going after her for something she wrote on his social media site. We'll talk to her about all of that at midday. You do not want to miss that. Right now, let's talk about Donald Trump and his appointment of Elon Musk and others to his administration from January. Steve Gill joins us. He's a former advisor to both Clinton and Bush administrations and joins us. Good morning to you.
Hey, Julia, good to be back with you.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Steve. Let's talk first of all about Elon Musk. I mean, he's going to basically co-lead this new government department, US Department of Government Efficiency, which is weirdly outside of government, and he's sharing the job with Vivek, I can never pronounce Vivek Ramaswamy as well. Tell us how that's going to work.
That has to be the funnest job that the U.S. government's going to have under Donald Trump. I mean, you talk about a target-rich environment of cutting waste and fraud and abuse and overregulation and excessive abuse of government. Keep in mind, Julia, how much of a target-rich environment this is.
Oh, yes.
Under the Biden-Harris administration, they allocated $42 billion to building electric vehicle charging stations. They didn't build a single one. They were supposed to expand internet service to rural America with $42 billion. They haven't built a single access point. But my favorite, we have between 400 and 435 different agencies and departments of the U.S. federal government. The fact that we don't know if it's 400, 412, or 435 underlines the problem. Apparently, there may be offices out there where hundreds of people are just sitting around waiting for somebody to tell them, what are you supposed to do?
And we,
they just play solitaire
and we have no idea.
all day.
And Elon Musk has said very clearly he thinks that 99 is enough. But this is the fascinating thing, and we think our government and bureaucracy is bloated over here. My God, you've got problems over there, haven't you? And we're talking about billions. I mean, trillions is spent by the government. And again, a huge amount of debt. And it's US taxpayers who are hardworking taxpayers who were forced to foot that bill, whether it's future ones or current ones. Elon Musk, when he runs a lean, mean machine at SpaceX and at Tesla. He's very clear about his ethos. You know, you don't have to go to a meeting. It's if you've got nothing useful to add, you've got nothing useful, you're going to learn from it. You can not go or not or leave the meeting. You don't have to go through the sort of all the echelons of management to get something done. You just go and talk to the person over there who can get it done. He's also been very clear when he took over Twitter, renamed it X. He got rid of 85% of the staff. Most of whom turns out were working at home on lovely six-figure salaries and doing absolutely nothing at all, she said, to try and use the polite phrase. Is there hope that he's going to do that to government? And what impact do you think that would have?
I think it will have a great impact, first of all, on taxpayers, reducing what we have to send because they won't be spending it.
Although those people will then be on the unemployment rolls, but apparently they'll be brilliant public employees, so they should be able to get another job.
Well, and if we increase the prosperity, there will be jobs available. We're being told if we move the 13 to 20 million illegals out of the country, we're going to have a dearth of jobs. Now, maybe all those government employees don't want to do brick masonry. Maybe they don't want to work in the fields. But we'll see how bad they want to survive if there are jobs available, whether they want to actually take them. I think the other thing that we can see in the efficiency of government is it doesn't always take three different agencies doing the same thing three different ways. And sometimes our federal government has rules that forbid you to do one thing, but the same thing requiring you to do something else. You guys have the same thing as well. So just going through this thing, the Department of Defense hasn't passed an audit in decades. Let's just start with what did you do with the money? Like I used to ask my teenage sons. And in terms of the efficiency, I'll give you one prime example. When I was a lawyer practicing law, I was a partner in a big law firm. One of our partners came up with the brilliant idea of having standing meetings. Then instead of having sitting there, cogitating about everything, You had standing partner meetings. It's amazing how much quicker you get out of there if you're having to stand for the meeting rather than sit.
The late Queen Elizabeth always did this. All of her meetings were always standing, and it was a very good way of keeping people brief. It definitely worked that way. Let me also ask you about Pete Hegseth. Lots of fuss online about the Fox News anchor being appointed as Defence Secretary. But I'm sure, as you'll be able to rattle off, although people say, like, God, he's presenting, it's like putting me in charge of defence. That's not the case. He has actually got an incredibly good track record, hasn't he? Tell us.
Look, Julia, I know you have a mean streak. I wouldn't have a problem with you being in charge of defence for either England or for us. The thing that Pete Hegseth has is, first of all, he lives here in Nashville. So I know Pete, he is a great guy. But they're saying, oh, he's just a TV presenter. He spent 20 years as a combat veteran in the U.S. Army. He is deployed in Afghanistan, in Iraq, at Guantanamo Bay. He has 2 Bronze Stars, which are some of the highest commendations you can get. The idea to dismiss him because, oh, he's just doing weekend television presenting now is an insult to both him and everybody else who's worn the uniform in the US.
Also, he attended Princeton and Yale. He then worked on Wall Street. I mean, this guy is a sharp cookie. These are 2 of the best universities, not just in the US, but in the world. He is a sharp cookie. He also set up an organisation for veterans as well. He's kind of done some stuff as well. It would be interesting to see. I mean, certainly we've had defence secretaries in this country, who were considered to be, paper pushers. And actually they went in, and bean counters, they went in and they actually called people to account and said, again, like, why have you spent this on this aircraft carrier when France got theirs for half the price? Where did the money go? And you actually need some people who come in from outside. The other appointment I'm very hopeful of.
And the biggest thing he's going to do is restore the warrior ethos. We've gone so woke with our military that you've got guys that have rows of ribbons that are all participation trophies that never were in combat. We need to get back to warriors, having a military that is primarily there to kill people and blow up stuff. That's what militaries are supposed to do.
Well, and again, we've had the issue in Britain as well with our military, where it will emerge, extraordinary story emerge, that basically, in terms of training our top jet pilots in the military, they said, you have to have more women and you have to have more ethnic minorities. You can't just have them be a load of white men. That's unacceptable. So really good candidates weren't getting through, and worse candidates were getting through because they were being pointed because they ticked boxes. And I know it's on the bigger scale in America. And you know what happens then? People die. Again, this stuff matters. But I want to get on to Marco Rubio. It's not confirmed yet, but it seems very likely he will be the next US Secretary of State, so the Foreign Secretary of the United States. Now, he is as staunch as they come when it comes to Israel. We've also got a new US Ambassador to the UN and a US Ambassador to Israel. Again, staunchly behind Israel. Absolutely no nonsense on that front. Does that tell us a little bit about where American foreign policy in the Middle East is going to go?
I think that at some point, Donald Trump did get great votes within the Arab American community. I'm hopeful to see soon that he's going to pick somebody from the Arab American community to be in his cabinet as well. He shouldn't pick anyone because of their background. You should pick people because of what they can say, what they can do. I agree, but what we're seeing, unfortunately, from Donald Trump right now is a lot of the DEI woke stuff. They're saying that Marco Rubio, the first Latin American to be Secretary of State, you've got Elaine Stefanik, who is a Jewish American. You've got these boxes that they are filling. So I think he will fill it. I think he'll look first at what can somebody do, not what they are. But, the media is going to be saying, well, you didn't pick this person or that person. I think Marco is not the guy I would pick. Bill Hagerty is a longtime friend for 30 years. I think he has the credentials. He was ambassador to Japan. He's been a business guy. He has been a U.S. senator as well. But we'll see if Marco Rubio can get the job done. The new chief of staff is a big political consultant, has been in Florida. She wanted Marco Rubio, and that's kind of where that pick came from. So I think there's more behind the scenes.
We'll see what happens. Always so good to talk to you, Steve Gill. Thank you so much for joining us, former government advisor in the United States.